Welcome back to the GSL Code A. It's time for a winner's match. A Zerg versus Zerg between Rogue/Savage and his opponent Ragnarok, who already played a great Zerg versus Zerg series, taking a 2-0 win against Curious.
Yeah, he looked really, really strong, and Curious is a good CVZ player. So Savage is going to have to really... Oh, that was an interesting shot. Savage is going to have to really be playing very well here. He's going to have to concentrate hard and play his best games, because Ragnarok is no joke, man. Kind of came back out of nowhere and looking great.
Does Rogue strike you, by the way? I've always kind of felt this way about him as, I don't want to call him like a ladder Zerg, but he's a player who just plays... When I look at his builds, usually I don't think like, oh, he planned this build for this map specifically. I just feel like he just plays every game like he's queuing up on the ladder. Like he doesn't put too much, I don't want to say he doesn't put too much thought into the map, but I think he like looks at every map like, okay, I'm playing on King Sejong Station. This is how I play a normal macro game on King Sejong Station. Not like, okay, it's King Sejong Station, so I'm going to try to do this roach timing and be aggressive here. I think he just takes every game as it comes. It just seems that way in his play. What are your thoughts on this?
He seems like really reactive and reflexive as a Zerg. I do agree on that portion of it, but I think that he plans out a good amount of the matches, because we've seen things like offensive hatcheries, which I think...
Yeah, that's a good point.
You have to pre-plan something like
that.
That's
actually like a really great counterexample of what I just said, especially. Well, let's go into this Zerg versus Zerg, starting things off on King Sejong Station.
I love this map, by the way. In the top left of King Sejong Station, it is...
Ragnarok.
So respected in Korea. So many... people looking up to him. His opponent to the bottom right in blue for Jin Air.
Savage.
Yeah, actually, like, I feel silly saying that even now that I think about it. With this is a specific hatchery build that we saw. When I watch him in Pro League, I just feel like every other game in Pro League feels like a super pre-planned.
Yes, well,
game,
Pro League
is
the best of one. More planned than anything else in the world, because you literally have one game against one player on one map.
Yeah.
And when that's all you have, probably everything should be pre-planned.
Right.
Probably every aspect and every branch of every possibility should be mapped out, because especially if you're on a Kespa team, your team is paid for via Korean sponsors, and that's generally, you know, what matters the most to your team. They're going to make you practice that more than any individual stuff. So
it's true.
Absolutely, you see completely different games in best of threes in WCS tournaments and GSL and whatnot, as you do in Pro League. There's no question. It is a different beast.
They both go hatch first here. Ragnarok adds 2 drones. But going back to that point, and even actually a gas goes down here first before the pull for Rag, so he's taking a super greedy build. I would say that, yeah, in Pro League, that's where I get this feel for Savage. Like, when I watch his Pro League games, he's similar to Biel in the sense, like, Biel has like a specific way to plan to defend, but they both play these games where it looks like they're like, okay, I'm up against this player. I know exactly how he plays. Let me just defend what he's going to do, and like let me react to what he's going to do in this game, rather than, all right, let me try to get into his head and like get ahead in the game because of it. In Pro League, that last game that we saw from Savage, though, where he put the hatch block down, was clearly intended from the start. That was a planned thing. Best of threes are such a different thing.
Yeah, there's like different plannings for best of ones, best of threes, best of fives,
and
and
groups
best of sevens.
even.
In groups, yeah, absolutely, and based upon what races you have in the group, like, and we've seen players like, for instance, no one can plan a best of 7 like MVP. Okay, the guy is like God at planning at best of 7. You just can't outplan him. He knows how to do it. He knows how to play it, when to mix and cheese and all that, when to take the risk, when to play the macro. And, you know, there's all sorts of players like this. Like, MC is ridiculously good at that as well. He can plan out anything, right?
I think Maru is actually really good at this also.
Yes, he certainly is. There's no question.
His series in the OSL against Innovation was like the best example of this. When I watched that series, I rewatched that so many times.
Against Rain as well, he did a very good job.
Yeah, actually. The series against Innovation, I've watched that probably like 3 or 4 times because I just love it. I love TVT, but also just watching how Maru prepared that is like, he looked at every weakness that Innovation has, including his confidence at the time, and like dismantled it.
You know, and at the same time, we have some players that are very good at planning a single game against a single player.
Tails.
Yes, there's one right there. Like, that's a guy that you'll probably see more and more in Pro League because he's good at planning something like that. He's good at executing a single game with a weird strategy.
Hurricane used to be really good at this. I think he's kind of switched his style to play more reactionary, but he used to be like the best Protoss sniper we had in GSTL for a while.
Indeed, his team all consider him the best Protoss in the world for this reason.
Yeah, well, this is, again, annoying for Ragnarok. He gets scouted here. His greedy build is scouted, and also he saw the pool jiggling, so he knows speed was on the way, plus he's still mining from 3. You know, he still has 3, and he can see exactly how much gas to mine, so he's probably thinking like, oh, you're going to do something funky here, so he starts a roach warrant.
Yeah, you know, he's got to be safe about that. And, of course, you know, he saw those drones rally into it, which is kind of interesting as well. It's like, okay, you're kind of like re-getting gas right now.
Yeah, the thing is, too, he doesn't see any Ling pooling, he doesn't see abandoning us or anything like that, so he's like, okay, you're just getting a lot of gas, you're probably just going to go into a faster layer, but
yeah,
I got to be careful just the same.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that is very close to what he's thinking, where it's like, you know, he doesn't spot the Lings, pool jiggling, speed finishing, drones just now going back in. Okay, you're probably going into macro play. I'd have to be a little bit careful. May as well grab that roach warrant.
Yeah, and even that spine there at the front, I like that. The spine at the front, you just can't go wrong with that. It's like, if you make 2 spines, okay, that's too much a lot of the time, but the 1 spine, it's going to be useful throughout the entire game in almost every case. It's just a great investment. And unlike, you know, a photon cannon, it can be repositioned, moved. It's just so tanky. I like it a lot.
Well, what do you think about this expansion timing? Because Savage starts his 3rd after the 3rd finishes for Ragnarok. And that makes me a little bit scared for him.
Yeah.
Because now Ragnarok is making a lot of speedlings and sending them across the map. And this might be able to get a cancel on that 3rd if he goes straight for it.
I think if he does go straight for it, he will get it. He's also going to get this little boost of speed actually for a second here on his way over, just as he scrapes on the edge of that creep. I think if he decides to commit here, he will force a cancel, and he should.
Oh, it's pretty close.
I think he's going to get it.
Know.
He has to cancel that.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, he just does.
He's not going to lose the drone.
It was actually pretty close, but yeah, that's... You know what? Is that worth all those lings? I would say yeah. Now, I think that Ragnarok, though, has to sit back and play kind of a defensive game because his 3rd is miles quicker than Savage's.
Yeah.
Like, it is so much faster.
Fully
His economy
saturated.
is ridiculous in comparison.
I feel like if he got the drone, too, I would be 100% like, oh, this is awesome, but my concern for Rag is that they keep calling him Rag because I'm thinking about Ragnarok from Hearthstone.
Yeah,
like, makes me
as soon
say
as
Rag.
you say that, I just see 8 points of damage to my face.
I'm like, will the Lings hit the 3rd base, the main, or the natural? I guess we'll find out. But I think the scary part for him is he doesn't have any roaches. Well, now he does, but like for a time he didn't have any, and he still needs a little bit more time to build those up. But Savage has 1/1 upgrades and a ton of roaches here, but he's not going to commit to an attack. And had he, it would have been a risk, but I think it might have paid off. But the Rustins on this map considered too, and how far away the 3rd base is from everything. At the end, I guess it was a really good trade to get that hatch.
Yeah.
I think it was good. Even though he didn't get the drone afterwards to further delay it, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I really like it. So we'll see what happens with this. Of course, Savage is coming up from this other side. Of course, he'd have to attack up a ramp here, right near a couple of the hatches. In fact, Ragnarok really wants him to.
He's actually going to start fighting this. He's picking off a few roaches. Great split here by Savage, so that he can save those roaches on the left side. Or actually, well, he did, and then he re-rallied it over.
It's going to be a roach scout, I guess. See how far he actually gets. Doesn't look like it's going to be too far.
Yeah. By the way, guys, we don't normally have this. It's usually disabled, so we have a little extra treat. You guys can see the hotkeys of the players, whatever unit is selected. You see that above the roach? You can see all the hotkeys. It's normally hidden because the programmers don't really like people to see their hotkeys, but today, for some reason, it's been shown. I don't know if GOM just decided to change how they do that, but you can see exactly how they've hotkeyed things, how many hotkeys they have for all the units. For example, in this case, all of the roaches for Savage on that one hotkey.
Uh-oh, 1A Roaches, memes incoming. Well, here we do have Savage going up to 2-2 against what is going to be 2-1. So that's a little bit of an advantage. He is getting his burrow movement, and burrow, of course. But his third, very, very late. Almost caught up in drones, but you can see the difference in the banks and the supply here. Ragnarok's fast third. Also the cancel of Savage's third after that. Like, this is going to be hard for him to stop correctly.
Well,
he is
the thing
way
is,
down in supply.
He's going to trade well here no matter what, and with that bank, things get out of hand. He's got the roach count here to just force a good fight.
Even going into this concave, he's going to be fine because he just has so many roaches.
He's diving it, man, and he's just going for it. I think not only will this actually be a good trade, this is going to be game-ending.
It looks like it. There's just almost no roaches left right now for Savage. And dude, Ragnarok is just looking amazingly strong in ZVZ at the moment.
Can I kill the Roach Warren here before burrow movement finishes? Not too important, but like losing the Roach Warren is, because now he can't make any roaches, which means the chances that he had of holding this, which are already like less than 0, are now like going further into the negatives.
Make lings against these 2-1 roaches, I dare you. GG. Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. Ragnarok is crushing everyone's face today. Still teamless.
He's
crushing
plowing
face.
it, man.
He's like, he looks so good, so strong. And the thing is, this group has some very strong players. Curious, Savage, and Stats. If any one of those players was in Code S, you wouldn't think twice about it. But it's starting to look like 2 of those players will not be in Code S.
You know what's so unfortunate to me about this group? If Ragnarok wins the next game, he goes out 4-0, gets first place, and goes on. But we don't really get to see his other matchups.
Yeah.
And I wonder, because I know that some players have done this. I've actually been told by players. I think Polt told me this a few times. Like I used to talk to Polt all the time. He has really good English, and it's like easy to talk to him. He's a likable guy, but sometimes I'd be like, so how well did you prepare for this matchup and the other matchup? He'd be like, I didn't prepare for the other matchup at all, because I know that I'm going to play these games in this order, and my opponent is going to win. Like I know that I'm going to play 2 Zergs because the Zerg that I'm not playing in the first match is going to win against the Terran. I'm not playing TVZ. I'm only practicing TVZ because I'm only going to play 2 TVZs and I'm out of the group in first place. And some people look at a group like that. I wonder if Ragnarok has looked at this like, no, I'm not preparing for Protoss. Actually, I'm only thinking about the Zergs here. Doesn't matter, because his ZVZ looks like just a step up from anything I've ever seen from him specifically. Anyways, and I don't know.
Looks better than anything he's ever done before.
It's just like I don't know if he suddenly just got better as a player because he hasn't been in televised matches for so long.
Could be.
Or if he's just like super prepared for the ZVZ matchup right now.
It's hard to say, but you know what? Going into a group like this, only preparing for ZVZ is not even a bad choice, because with 2 Zergs in your group, you absolutely can get through just relying on ZVZ.
Yeah.
Either Stats is not as good as the other players, or he crushes through and then you come in second. You know?
Right. You don't play if you don't start against Stats. It's impossible to play him twice in the group, so you only have to play him once no matter what.
Yeah.
And if you can win both
you have
ZVZs,
to lose more than one.
Yeah.
You know,
actually,
unless
that's
he
true.
can play you twice.
And in this case, he can't.
Yeah.
So
only Savage, or I'm sorry, not Savage. Only
Curious can play him
Curious
twice.
has the opportunity to be eliminated only by Stats.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Habitation Station, the map here. This is a map where Gold Base is coming to play. Ragnarok was looking nervous a moment ago, like looking stressed. Now he's the one smiling, and Savage looking stressed here. Shouldn't be too worried, considering that even if he loses here, he does have another shot.
Yeah. But you know, if you don't make it into Code S, you feel like a failure in some ways. You know, especially when you're this level, where this guy is like wins one of the most stacked qualifiers I've ever watched in my life for IEM.
These 2 players specifically are not that famous, I would say, in StarCraft II compared to their skills. And of course, if you're a player who's really good and you know you're really good, you've always got to be thinking to yourself in the back of your mind, like, I am a Code S level Zerg. Yeah. Nobody knows that. And I'm going to show the world right now, this is my chance, this is my opportunity. I would say, actually, even Stats is more known than Savage because of his StarCraft 1 career, and Savage is just like...
Yeah, he was bigger in like Pro League last year and stuff, so I would say the Stats is a little bit more known, but Savage is really starting to make a name for himself, whereas Ragnarok fell off the radar for so long. I doubt many people really remember him, other than a very faint memory of a decent Zerg.
Very true. Well, Ragnarok 1 game away, going straight into Code S and taking first place in this group. He's up against a good up-and-coming Zerg Rogue. The map is Habitation Station, and this is the GSL Code